Connie, we're back in session. It's 12:07. What we have next up is our signature request. And the first one I have in front of me is from Heidi Mertens Finance, and this is for an amendment to number 19. School year 2021 funds amount of $2,252.
2 million is.
Oh, 2 million, I'm sorry.
I lost that one.
Your call has been.
But Ray's on. Ray.
Yeah.
Okay, you got Ray on, so. And this is an amendment to number 18 and 19 for COLA BIE school operations grant. And that must be that $2,252,000, so.
What is it?
It's amendment 18 and 19.
Transportation,
Oh, they must get this yearly, so.
various ones.
This is the amendment to allow Circle Life Academy to receive grant dollars from the Bureau of Indian Education, BIA, which allows multiple programs under the Circle Life Academy. Signing the amendment for the Circle Life allows funds to be released to the tribe for drawdown to be used for intended for purposes of the initial grant agreement for 19 and 2022. So it's two amendments, 18 and 19. For some drawdowns.
Motion.
Motion by Umsey, second.
Second.
Second by Ray, all in favor?
Aye.
What?
Motion carried.
Aye.
Oh, Al's back on good.
Okay.
Next up is Pat Butler Health Division, approval to accept the invitation to be a member as the Community Research Council.
That's just to have her appointed on this
Yeah, the appoint-
advisory board.
Yeah, to have her put on the advisory board, so. Motion for this. Community Research Council to appoint Pat Butler to it, so. There's no monies involved.
Nope.
The Warriors Reservation Business Committee supports community health needs initiatives to promote prevention, investigate changes to healthcare or disease over time, and the guidance of child policy initiatives. And whereas the Warriors Reservation Business Committee recognizes the importance of collaborating with tribal partners by gaining information about community health needs, and whereas the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior is proposing the establishment of a regional research institute to promote prevention and disease investigation. And therefore be resolved that the White Reservation Business Committee hereby approves its health director, Pat Butler, to accept the invitation to be a member on the Community Research Council to provide insight into development and validation of the epidemiology survey tool.
Any motions on that, guys, to ever accept that invitation to sit on that council?
Motion.
Motion by Umsey, all in favor? Or second, I mean, I'm sorry. Second by Ray, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next up is Chris from the Information Technology. Oh, he's talking about what, 600,000? Oh, this is the sign with GSA for the phones. Approval for resolution to sign the new Verizon GSA federally supplied scheduled purchase order, which will enable Warriors to provide more phones to employees. Attached to resolution and purchase another sign and purchase of order document from Verizon.
That's for the 2020 through 22 fiscal years.
Who's paying for it?
Programs, do we ever try to OSP salt? I mean, I don't know how good, what's the other ones, Carrier Sprint or
Yeah, I don't know how good
T-Mobile, are they?
their services appear low.
That's what I'm saying, is like, do we ever, like, they ever have a competitor?
The Water Reservation Business Committee issued electronic mobile devices
We do this every 2 years.
shall be provided to employees who in the course of their workday and are primarily located off-site from the main building and or is deemed necessary to perform work functions. And whereas it is the responsibility of the White Reservation Business Committee to manage cell phone usage of its employees to ensure HIPAA and high-tech privacy and security standards and the Minnesota Data Privacy Act for the protection of personal information for its constituents. And whereas the White Reservation Business Committee will secure equipment that is within the overall budget for technology that is necessary and will support the ability for employees to perform work functions. And whereas the White Reservation Business Committee incurs costs when providing devices or services that equip White Nation employees to perform their respective duties or functions. For the year of 2020, total device count was 400 for an average monthly cost of $17,010.81. And the estimated device count for the next 2 years is 650 units for an average monthly cost of $26,000.
And it says the RBC incurs cost.
Yeah, but on the front it says no.
And why do they have all this TEC language in here? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Now we call Judy?
That's what I said. I think some of that technology, if you're referencing HIPAA and because of having to work remotely, I think those CARE dollars can be used for that.
I think so
I'm
too.
almost positive, but I would double check.
I'm calling Judy to see if she's available, answering questions.
Hello?
Hi Judy, it's Liz. Hey, I've got you on speakerphone. We're in the RBC meeting. And questions regarding your IT request for the Verizon GSA supply schedule purchase order?
Okay.
Where's the funding coming from for the monthly costs that are associated with this?
That comes from each department that orders phones. Like ICAW needs to order phones, and that funding, I believe you approved, and it comes from each department
Okay.
funding. So it's just every department funds it themselves with either grants or I think if it were for admin, I would imagine it would come out of the general fund.
The GSC is a
It's
government,
department.
Mm-hmm.
government rate we get for, federal government.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Do you want me to just walk over there real quick?
Did you hear that, Alan?
Huh?
I said, did you hear that, what Judy said?
Did you hear it regarding the funding?
Yeah, she's saying it's coming from each department, but you know where each department gets its money from? Us. So where are we getting the money from? I mean, I think they need the stuff, I really do, but I just want to verify the funding source. That's all.
Well, I know like ICW just ordered a number of phones too that just went through, but they're paying for them.
Yeah, some of these ones may have revenue generating, they might be self-sustaining, but some of these departments will require support directly from the general fund. And if that's the case, we'd like to know how much of that 27,000 we're gonna be paying for out of the general. Maybe like I guess what I'm saying is an itemized, I'm asking for an itemized, budget of where the funding is coming from.
Accounting. I could probably get that from accounting for the next time you guys meet. I don't pay the bill, so I don't have that information. I just, the phone management was assigned to IT, a couple of years ago, so I don't see the actual billing. I just see the phones that come in. So I can get that from probably Nicole Holden in accounting for the next time you guys meet and have it all ready for you. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Perfect.
All right, we good?
Okay.
So Judy, we're meeting next Wednesday, so.
Okay. I'm gonna go see if I can get a hold of Nicole right after this phone call, so it should be ready usually by next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yep, bye-bye.
All right, next up is Veronica Newcomer, legal for a business, or judicial. It's, meets license requirements for the RBC to approve. It is a LLC request. Alicia's Locations, it's called,
Ashley's Creation.
Ashley's Creations.
Motion.
Motion by Umsey, second.
Second.
Second by Ray, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next up is, Jenna from COLA. This is on the Circle Life Academy hiring back for Pacific non-essential staff for upcoming 2020 to 2021. This has please consider the new approval for signature for this request for expenditures and hire back non-essential personnel to virtually carry out traditional and hybrid plans for school return. One should be approved for upcoming school year. The White Earth, resident, agrees to necessary expenditures to ensure COLA's, school board support and hiring back non-essential personnel vital to success of the school's based setting. So I think if they're just trying to bring back their non-essential employees for the upcoming school year. That it is this.
Yep.
And she needs a motion to bring them back. It's in their budget. Anybody have any questions on it, or? Umsey stepped out, so.
Sorry, Chair, where was that? Sorry, I was on another phone there with a elder there.
Well, this, the next one is from COLA, from Jenna, and she just, has we need approval to bring back the non-essential employees for the next upcoming school year. So she's asked us for permission to recall her non-essential employees, which are part of her budget, so.
So the money is debit, right?
Yeah, where's the money coming from?
And the BIE.
Well, BIE is paying for it.
As far as I know, I mean, I'm not exactly sure on, I mean, it just says here that hereby approves the expenditures of hiring back non-essential personnel vital to carry out traditional and hybrid plan for school return. One should be approved for the upcoming 2020-21 school year. So, I mean, they must be in the budget, her budget, because I don't think that we supplement anything to COLA, do we, Liz?
I think so. I just called Dana to come down, because I know we got 2 other from them too, like, if we have questions.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have her explain it.
Yeah, really. But, there is a motion on the floor, right? Motion?
No, UMSI had to step out.
Oh, okay. I thought he motioned for that. I didn't.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Hey, I was hoping to talk with you guys about a little bit about the TEC meeting on that Zinke decision. Maybe an executive, I was gonna ask a couple questions.
I left my mask on my desk.
So I don't know if you can get, Veronica, or when we go into executive.
You can probably sit here or at the end, or you sit at the end, you gotta talk loud.
I'll call her, Ellen.
But Jenna's coming. She was in our office.
Yeah, when you guys go into executive, I was gonna ask you.
Are we recording?
Yeah, we're on YouTube live.
No, I also got a few messages here on Facebook that the casino is, getting a hold of people on Facebook rather than doing it through, HR. And a couple of them are pretty pissed, and then they got a lot of comments on there. They don't like having being called back on, through, Facebook. I don't
Yeah,
know.
No, they shouldn't be calling people back on Facebook. It's not a,
No, can you check
platform.
it out, Liz? Can you check it out, Liz? Make sure it's not happening.
Yeah, we just have to check in the guys before we,
Say that again, I'm sorry, I
before
was
we start
texting
assuming
Ronnie.
things out,
Can you check to see if the casino is calling people back through Facebook? Because I just got a few texts here, right, right on, as we were going through, and that's what I was reading there on this last one, and, they're pretty upset that they're being called back through Facebook, and they said, what the hell is their damn HR for? If they're gonna use HR, then why don't we get rid of them?
They're
So
calling
it should be going
employees
through
back?
HR, not over Facebook. Huh?
They're calling employees
Oh, I got
back
my-
through Facebook?
Yeah, that's what I got from a couple of them here. I don't wanna mention the names without being an executive here. because
Yeah,
I did just get two hits on Facebook stating this.
okay, I'll find out.
All right, well, this one we're talking about now,
Thank you.
is about the COLA, about non-essential, returning non-essential employees coming back, recalling them back. Who pays for them? Does that come out of VIA funding? It's already in the budget, yeah. So we're just recalling employees back.
Yeah,
basically.
just, it would be, she can explain better. She's coming in, I think.
But I think the question that Alan had was just that who's paying for it? And I was like, it comes out of the VIE, doesn't it?
It comes out of the BIE. The only ones that would, there might be issue with is we have paraprofessionals who are paid, and then we get reimbursed based on their student contact time.
Okay.
And because I don't know that we would be able to call them back. Same with our cooks. If we don't have students on campus, I don't know how or when we would have them come back. You know what I mean? And some of them, if they were contractual employees, would have started July 1. So I don't know where she is.
But there's nothing wrong with the resolution of what we're doing. It's just recalling them, and you guys make that choice of who comes back. So-
Yeah, and it's gonna be based on, we're listening to the BIE today and tomorrow. I don't know if any of you will be on those calls. But it's about reopening, and they sent out a 30-page document today that we were reading to. They're asking about the non-essential
Yes.
callback resolution?
Yes.
If you can explain that. Basically, how it's funded, how those people are funded.
Right, so any school-based employees at Circle Life Academy are gonna come from our school-based funds, right? Our school-based funds are separate from the general funds here at the RBC. So do we have the funds to bring them back? Yes. The bigger question is, do we start bringing them back now, not knowing how our school is gonna return in the fall? They wouldn't necessarily be warranted if we were like we were this past spring in a distance learning virtual model. However, they would be highly warranted and needed if we were a hybrid or a traditional model. Either way, I think it would be good to have your support in the sense that I can make a move quickly once that plan or final recommendation comes down from the Bureau of Indian Education and the Minnesota Department of Education with you as our school board. Does that clarify it?
So what you're saying is, you just want us to give you the okay to call these people back when needed.
Yes, sir.
If the,
Yes, and we have the funds to afford them.
so that decision will be made on regards to your call today, or whatever you're talking about?
Part of it, yeah, and then the state planning doesn't come out until the week of July 27th,
Right.
or is there directive?
So my job as a superintendent would be to build 3 plans of return to the best of our ability. And then once we get the recommendation from the Bureau of Indian Education, I share that with you, the council, because we're a sovereign nation. You ultimately have the final say at how COLA returns to school this fall. But I want to give you every data point possible. So I'll give you the federal recommendation. And as soon as I get the state recommendation, which will be no later than July 27th, I'll give that to you. My hopes would be to have our decision much earlier than that, knowing that our school starts August 6th with students, and we would need to know, but we'll have a better idea within the next week or two of where we're sitting for a plan of return.
So this couldn't wait till a week or two then, or is like, do it now?
The only reason I'm asking is just school board consent for me as a superintendent to be able to start calling them back once we make a decision quickly. And it seems that if we don't do it early, then I have to wait on if you meet, right? I have to wait for your next meeting date, whether or not that happens. And there's a lot of variables that could impact whether our school board can meet, especially with COVID-19. So I'm kind of pre-planning in a way and prepping for worst case scenario that you may or may not be able to meet down the road at a consistent basis, which then just gives me authority via the education department to be able to bring those employees back in a timely fashion.
I guess my question is, when are we gonna get a school board so we don't have to do this somewhere? You know, I mean, I can see when you come to us for funds, that'd be great, but I mean, this stuff could be done by a school board.
Chairman Fairbanks, I couldn't agree with you more. I've been asking for a school board since my first year at COLA when I became interim superintendent. I did provide that school board policy paperwork to legal, and I've been working with education to do everything within my scope of practice and licensure. But when it comes to an actual election for a school board, that would be at tribal council discretion when that takes place.
So what do you guys think about approving, bringing back non-essential employees or giving the superintendent the recall authority to bring back employees as needed? I guess that fits into the budget, her budget, so.
Yes, sir.
Motion? Motion by Umsey, second?
Second.
Second by Ray, all in favor?
One.
Motion carries. All right, next up, I got on here is COLA, and this one is for pay scale.
Yep.
For school board or school,
And
School administration.
So if I can speak to that, let's see, one of the main things I noticed coming on as an interim superintendent was pay across the board for school-based employees was pretty low when we started. When you do a market value comparison to other schools, privately controlled, bureau operated, or public school. We first targeted the teacher pay scale to increase that rate. Our teachers deserve it, and they were underpaid. The next was to target administration, not just myself, but other administrators. More recently, we had a dialogue with human resources to make sure that the pay scales that we do for a school-based setting are not only fair and equitable for the market, but also it have a native preference component. So those with native preference get an increased pay rate at 4%. And that is something that we can afford with our school-based budget. And Dana Goodwin worked closely with me on this, looking at the Bureau, what was supplied to us from the Bureau of Indiana Education, what we could access with the Minnesota Department of Education, knowing that most administrative contracts, that's private, that's not public information. But I also am part of a Region 4 superintendent co-op where they did a market comparison of all their salaries and benefits for the entire northern region, including rural school districts, which is what brought these pay scales to light.
And then the place where we started was where Fond du Lac is at.
Yes.
That's where they so we went from there and built up from it.
Yep. Fond du Lac was very helpful in providing us information for how they pay their administration.
So that's for all BIU schools?
It's, we targeted BIE schools within our region, those willing to share that information, which they don't have to because it's private, right? But Fond du Lac was probably the most willing to work with us, thankfully due to Mr. Buccanato's connections.
Can I see that once, Mike?
Yeah, I think before we get that one, is that something that HR did Nicole get a chance to look at that?
As far as I know.
I think.
And he actually helped develop the teacher pay scale. And this is something, so our teachers and administrators, we have contracts already.
No.
This is something that we would do.
Now, what about the administration compared to the teachers? Now, are we just gonna go with just teacher contracts this year, or are we gonna go with teacher then administration contracts?
We are doing contracts for all. There are some differences in the admin versus teacher, slowly moving towards more adherence to RBC expectations. The goal, having discussions with HR, was to utilize this upcoming school year to allow thoughtful discussions on what those contracts look like in a way that meshes with the RBC policy and practices. It has been a challenge in the past. They are better than they were before, but they're still not perfect. And the goal was to meet and then thoughtfully have those discussions so that if there are going to be changes moving away from contracts or significant changes in the contracts, that we tell teachers well in advance so there aren't any surprises. So they know what to anticipate.
Yeah, I'm in favor of all the contracts for teachers and, but I think admin, I know that we get ourselves in a tizzy when it comes to, like the administrator that's been working there for 20 years that gets 10 hours a week and wants to get paid out, at the end of the year, these PTO buyouts, it kind of puts us in a,
Well, I can speak to that.
So I think that we need to probably keep our employees, if they're gonna be there year round, doing finances or yourself or your other administration help that's there year round should just be paid as a regular employee.
So one thing I can speak to is the administration are not going to have a PTO buyback option. And in fact, moving forward, neither will teachers. That was a SIG grant funded component of contracts that we will no longer have after the upcoming 2021 school year. So that part's been removed, sir. What I can tell you is that a licensed superintendent or licensed principal, I would not work without a contract. And other schools offer 3-year contracts. With our school, this is just a 1-year contract.
And that was something that HR had talked about working, we're looking at percentages and increased enrollment as goals for the upcoming year. And then working towards a 3-year contract for administration. And that was Nicola and Veronica's suggestion.
And again, this is just for 1 year, so the pay scale looks like a lot of money, right? But it's just a 1-year contract for any of us. There isn't anything more than that. And that's also giving us this year to thoughtfully meet as a team to discuss contracts and how they look moving forward.
Do you need like a motion on this today? Can we give it a week so we can all look at it kind of more in depth?
It would be beneficial to, because our contracts start July 1st, it would be beneficial to have a motion today. But if you're requesting time, I can give that, we can give that.
Because we're gonna meet Wednesday, so you wanna look at it more? Yeah, I think we'll look at that one more. I think we'll bring it back to the table on Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. I think that we should look at it.
I'd like to also like to request that the whole tribal council show up here for our meeting on Wednesday in person. If that's possible. Because we got some other things that we need to go over with our financial officer here.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is another COLA. This is for mandated bus garage. Is this for new garage doors or what is it now?
So if you go up to the.
Another garage?
No, there's a current transportation garage that is not finished.
Oh.
It was built before my time. It was never reported to the Bureau of Indian Education. We were just cited with that recently. It's also not up to code, meaning it is standing as a fire hazard. We are directed that we have to finish it by the Bureau of Indian Education before we can put it on their docket for reimbursement with funding.
That was Lauren Welch came in, visited the school, and gave us that information.
And that's $21,000, so.
Correct, sir.
You have that in your budget, right?
Yes, sir.
Motion.
Motion by Umsey to approve to finish the garage, so we're in compliance with, BIE. So, can we get a second?
Second.
Second by Ray, all in favor?
All
Right.
Motion carried. All right, then the last one.
Thanks, guys. Is that COLA?
I don't know.
Yeah, this is cool.
Oh.
And this one is for Circle Lake County temporary storage container furniture.
Yes, so, we are at capacity, with our space, which is great, right? That's good news. And knowing that our goals is to increase enrollment and the number of new applications we had in, we know we're gonna be increasing enrollment. The issue is that when we build our programs, and we're building our cultural programs specifically, is we don't have enough space for everything. Right now, we were utilizing locker rooms for our storage of athletic equipment, which we were told by the fire marshal cannot be done. So the only other solution was to seek building onto our school, which we know is an arduous task, or a temporary solution to give us time to thoughtfully plan for build with a storage container unit. Our facilities manager, Darwin Shugabay, really put together some thoughtful bids with local storage container offerings and came up with the one that I have in front of you as a proposal.
Yeah, it's for 5,000.
And it's to rent, correct. So we're looking to rent 2 of those storage units to rent for a year. And that includes their pickup, their drop off of the unit and pickup of it later. So that we don't have to worry about moving it, which is nice.
So there's 2 containers?
There should be 2 containers there
5,000 each or 5,000 for both?
for both of them.
I mean, should we look at buying them? Then we could move them to another program that could utilize them. What do you think, Holmes? I mean, if we're gonna spend $5,400 on them, I think you can buy them for 3, can't you?
I believe the bids, if they're not attached to the document, the company that we would like to go with does have them. I want to say it's for about $4,000 to $5,000, depending on the size per unit.
Yeah, you know that big steel, for your old car. I'd rather just buy them, you know what I mean? Because I mean, when you guys get done with them, I think that we could have, there must be other programs out there that could probably utilize them.
That's certain,
And I'm not sure about our own finance, because we don't have no storage here for our financial records.
And there's stuff, are they waterproof and all that good stuff too?
That's what they told us, because we specifically asked for ones that would house, that we could house like athletic equipment in.
Cause they just store paperwork in there and have.
Last thing you need is that
You know.
mold, yep.
You know, that's the only problem I worry about is as far as purchasing them. We wouldn't be able to store any paper products in them, I know that, because they would probably eventually leak or do something to destroy
If
them.
you'd like, I could find out that information for fact before you decide on.
But what do you, I mean, that's something that we probably want to invest in some, purchasing some of them, or you'd rather?
Well, we can look into that, but I think for now, I think we need to check into it more too, you know, we need to have
Do you
some.
have an answer today on that?
It would be helpful just to meet our fire code pieces, but we have time on that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the storage thing for them. It's $5,000 for 2 of them for a year, right?
Yep,
You
just
guys
1
got
year,
that in their budget, to take care of that stuff?
yes.
It's for 1 year, isn't it, for 5,000?
Yeah.
Yep, 2 of them for 1 year.
Motion to rent 2 storage units for 1 year at COLA.
Second.
Second by Ray, all in favor?
Right.
Let,
Motion carries. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to talk about this one next?
Yeah, so that was, the last one there, they put a signatory request together. That's for the sanitation trucks that they want to purchase. Was requested to get legal opinion on use of either behavioral health dollars or the CARES money. We did receive those. The signatory request isn't there because they didn't do a resolution, so, but with the legal, I think we can, look at it anyway. So the opinion from Vanya, CARES money you can't use it to buy those trucks. The behavioral health money, you could, it was iffy. So if they can't use those monies, I don't know where you're gonna come up with
$380,000.
$380,000 for their trucks.
Oh, he's gonna sign it.
Which would probably be general fund, if that's what they're asking us to pick up. So that decision would be up to council.
Maybe can we bring it back on Wednesday when, most of everyone should be here, so.
Can we get some kind of financial report from them? I'd like to see something like that, or, I mean, how much we bringing in up there? How much we paying out? La. I mean, I know it's under enterprise at casino, it's on the casino side, but they're coming to us for the funding for the trucks, you know, and they're under casino enterprises.
Well, I know they've been losing money for years, and they've been trying to get things turned around there, and so I think we should have a good discussion on that.
I can ask them too. Do you want to do that on Wednesday when we do with Scott?
Yeah.
I can see if they can get it.
What's going on Wednesday with Scott?
Alan, I'd like the whole tribal council to be here to sit down with Scott so we can go over this general fund and the funding's available and the money that's gonna be available, you know, for us to utilize.
Yeah.
You know, I think some of the council members here aren't getting the whole story here. Bean's on the phone and, you know what I mean? And where we could sit down and with Scott and actually hear the details.
Get a picture.
Get a
Because I don't think people fully understand that with that casino being operating only at 50%, that does affect our general fund directly over here, our capacity to fund programs and all that. So I would agree that we should sit Scott down and get the rest of the council in the same room.
Yep.
Because we said back in April, if you recall in my report, I said back in April that it'll take us at least 18 to 36 months to fully recover based on the losses and projections. And we did let the full council know that back in April, and it'd be nice to get another update from them. I agree.
So that's all what I'm asking, that the whole tribal council come here and sit down with Scott on Wednesday and, and discuss that.
Right on this. Right on back and all.
That'll give us some answers of what we can do and what we can't do, and, more clear picture of what the situation we're in.
Exactly.
All right, I think the rest is all executive, I think, Maria?
Yes.
All right, thanks, guys. Miigwech. I want to say thank you, guys, and Gigwabman.
Oh, then.